Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the EDF Sports Podcast. It's been a little while, but we are back with Lamar Fields up there in the corner, and Jack Neary down there on the bottom. Jack's back again after a long hiatus of traveling down to Florida. How you guys been?
Pretty good.
Weather's fantastic.
Jack, you liking it down there?
I really do. I'm about 45 minutes south of you, sir, and it's beautiful down here.
I love that part where you're at, actually. I mean, perfect spot. So I'll come down there and we'll watch the Rockets go up.
Yeah, it sounds good to me, man. I'm never buying a pair of pants again.
Exactly. Our pair of shoes. All right, guys. Well, man, yesterday, finally, after a long summer of waiting, the NFL has kicked off. We had our first game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys, and it gave us everything that we thought it was going to be, all the way down to that dumb move of giving Brady a minute and 24 seconds on the clock. I'll tell you right now, I saw Peyton Manning somewhere in my head going, no, you did not. You gave him a minute and 24, really, because you knew what was happening. You knew what was coming. What did you think of that game, Jack?
I thought it was like it's almost been every major guy I've ever seen, or every major sports athlete that I thought was the greatest. Muhammad Ali, I only got to watch the tapes of him, but when he started just getting slugged by Foreman on the ropes, you knew he had a plan. Tiger Woods hitting a shot within 4 feet of the cup in the dark or the dusk, whatever you'd like to call it. I mean, that was one of the greatest. Jordan, you never thought Jordan was going to lose. When I was a kid and I woke up and I read the papers, I couldn't believe it. I wanted a different paper. I didn't believe he lost a game, right? Especially an important one. Brady, I harken back to a game that I watched with my father the one time, and it was during the Patriots' undefeated season, and they were playing against, just like you said, Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. And it was a game-winning drive. And I looked at him. I was like, "Are you going to go do what we're going to do?" He goes, "No, I want to watch this." I go, "It's over." I go, "Brady is going to win this game." Like, it's just what he does. He knows how to execute at the highest level, at the highest minute, when everything's on the line. Brady doesn't lose. And that's Ali, that's Jordan, that's Woods, that's all of those guys.
That's right. What did you see, Lamar?
Pretty good game. Dallas left a lot of points on the board, missing field goals and extra points, and they needed a touchdown on that last drive, not a field goal. But overall, they played well, put up some points, forced some turnovers.
Did Dallas surprise you at all, though? I mean, because I wasn't expecting their defense to handle that Tampa Bay offense like they did. I thought their defense.
Dallas defense surprised me a little bit, but the offense, Dallas gonna score points. They got good receivers, good offensive line, good quarterback. They're gonna score points. The defense got some turnovers in there with 4, but really 3, but because that Hail Mary before halftime, they shouldn't count those as turnovers. They're just throwing the ball up.
Right. I'm sure Brady and all them quarterbacks would agree too. We shouldn't count those chunk up throws that you get. But
they played well. That's how you got against the Bucs. You're gonna have to, because Brady's gonna complete a lot of passes. You're gonna have to try to knock that ball out and hit and get that ball loose, because they're gonna complete a lot of passes.
Right.
Brady's smart and he know what to do. High IQ, so you're gonna have to force the ball out another way, strip it out and stuff like that. But when you playing teams like the Chiefs and Bucs, you can't leave points on the board. It's going to come back to bite you in the end.
Jack, should Washington be worried about Dallas?
So there were a couple of interesting narratives going into last night. So the narrative is that Tampa Bay's backfield was going to be split. Is it Ronald Jones? Is it Leonard Fournette? Oh, we're going to go with the hot hand. Listen, Leonard Fournette's wearing 7, where he dominated with that number at LSU. Okay, he got a nickname. Brady gave him a nickname, like your buddy. Right? Remember your buddy in high school? They give you a nickname, and that's how you know you're part of the crew, right? He gave him a nickname, Playoff Lenny. It's almost like, Aaron Rodgers. Do you think he likes Robert Tonyan? Yeah, he calls him Bobby Tonyan, right? Like, they're buddies. You're part of the club now.
Once you get that extra name, you know you're in, right?
Right. Ronald Jones is done. He might see the field again. He fought. You notice Leonard Fournette dropped a pass that turned into an interception. That was Brady's interception, not Leonard Fournette's. Right. Ronald Jones fumbled the ball, and a coach didn't even go to console him. He went, goodbye. Ronald Jones is done. That narrative is now put to sleep. The other narrative was that Dak Prescott didn't look, or how was he going to look when he came back from his injury? That was a huge narrative, right? Because that was gruesome. I mean, we all kind of didn't want to see that replay again. Okay, so Dak Prescott came back, and what we learned is that even if Dak Prescott isn't as athletic or as mobile as he was at one time, because I don't think he's 100%, silly to believe that. He's a smart quarterback, and that's really why they kept him. He's made a lot of throws last night that were anticipatory, that were way before the wide receiver made the move, and he slung the ball, 58 times?
Yes.
58 times, 58 throws, and they weren't
too many.
They weren't necessarily the strongest throws. They weren't necessarily gone. They weren't any of that stuff. Dak Prescott could see the game, I would say, at the same level or very close to his counterpart, Tom Brady.
That's true, but why do you think they did that with the offense? I mean, you have Zeke Elliott sitting back there who looked rather good during the preseason. All those clips we saw on HBO. I mean, I think he's a decent back. I didn't take him number one when I had the chance for a reason, because I don't think he's that way. But he's a very good back. Why do you think they went 58 throws last night?
Well, because Nick Martin was out, one of them, and I mean, let's face it, the Tampa Bay Bucks run defense is incredible.
Yes,
you got Vita V clogging up the middle. You got them fast linebackers and David and what's the other guy's name?
And sometimes
David
you looked at
David
the size
and
of
White.
those guys.
Yeah, they was covering all the gaps. So I like the game. I like the game plan the Cowboys had. Get the ball out quick, and challenge the Bucks cornerbacks. Because you can't. That's gonna have to be the way to beat the Bucks. You got to challenge their cornerbacks. You can't. Unless you throw it deep over the middle. Because if you throw it in the middle over the middle, those linebackers gonna pick it off. Man, they run like cornerbacks. So you gotta.
Yeah, and that's a great point. So White has the almost the same exact. It might be a little bit, might be a smidge, just a touch quicker. He has the same 40 times as Elliott. Yeah. So you got Vita Vea, which was he was ruining. I mean, people want to talk about missed calls last night. The guy was held in every play. Yeah. Okay, and Ndamukong Suh was right next to him. So you have both of those guys clogging the middle, and a guy that runs just as fast as your running back. So how are you to take advantage of this team? And the only way you're going to be able to take advantage of the team is if they believe you're going to run a little bit, pull those linebackers up and slip somebody like a CeeDee Lamb, which they did behind the coverage. And
you're
then,
right. And you know what, that worked. But I also think it goes back to what you said a little bit earlier too. Dak wasn't all the way himself. You could see there were times when he had a gap to take off running, and then he fell down.
Do it. He wouldn't do it. Yeah,
And that guy had the commentator made a good point. One good point through the whole game, because he had a lot of bad ones, Chris did. But the one good point that he made was that it wasn't the knee. So it's a little different from a standpoint of getting back there and you're worried about that knee getting hit than it is the ankle. But then as soon as he's like saying that goes to take off and then just goes down. And you're like, he's still thinking about it. You could tell quite a few times that's still on his head, and not judging, not downing him for it. I'm just saying that maybe that played the role in such a close game.
So the ankle wouldn't scare me as much as if it was Josh Allen or if it was Patrick Mahomes, which we've seen Mahomes not throw as well on a bad ankle. Okay. Somebody that has pure, absolute arm talent, that wouldn't scare me as much. The ankle, they're just parts. I could throw the thing 60, or you know what, for what he is and what people complain about him all the time, Joe Flacco has a cannon. I wouldn't care about his ankle. Not one instance. Okay. All those guys that have absolute just arms, I wouldn't care about their ankle. But Prescott's 4th round arm talent. I mean, people go, well, I'm only a 4th round pick, or they complain about that. At the end of the day, that's what your arm talent is. That's how quarterbacks get drafted. They don't draft you in the draft because of your wins. They don't draft you because of where you went to school. They draft you based on arm talent. And at the end of the day, Dak Prescott has 4th round arm talent.
So where do you put him right now in the NFL as far as quarterbacks go? Where would you place him?
He really believes himself. And you know what? At the end of the night last night, the last thing he said to Brady was, we'll see you guys down the road. And I think he really believes that. I think he really believes that Dallas is going to be good enough to get down the road. Now, how far they get, I don't know. Yeah. But for a guy to say that to Tom, and Tom just give him the thumbs up, like okay, like and for him to say that he had a good game, which he did, somewhere inside the top, 7th, 6th.
What about you, Lamar?
Oh, 8, 9, somewhere up in that area.
Yeah, because it's Mahomes.
I gotta see some more games first. It's just the first game. I'm not.
Well, okay, but let's have this. Let's get rid of yesterday. Yeah. Let's get rid of yesterday, right? Because I had him in fantasy last year.
Yeah,
I drafted him because I thought
him this year too.
All right, so I didn't take him this year. No, he scared me a little bit. The legs and all that other stuff kind of scared me a little bit. Okay, but last year, if you get rid of, obviously the injury, he was leading the league in yards and touchdowns.
Yeah,
by like a lot. He was actually going to beat yardage wise all of Mahomes' records last year.
And what did they have? They were averaging like 32 points when he was.
Yeah, it was insane. And they only had wins, and they were only in games because of him.
That's right.
So to say that he can't lead a team or doesn't have that leadership quality, that's untrue. I think I think it's. Yeah. It's Mahomes. It's obviously Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers still around. That guy, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He played opposite last night. Tom Brady's still there. Tom Brady is still playing in the NFL 22 seasons. But Dak Prescott's like 6.
Yeah.
6-ish.
Speaking of another old guy though.
Russell Wilson's up there.
I picked him up in my fantasy, a couple of my fantasy leagues this year because of what happened last night. But Gronk coming through, having a big game yesterday, picked up real late in almost every draft that I was in and took part in. What do you think about Gronk? I mean, he 30 in my league, 33. I know they're different points in different leagues, but for me, he gave me 33.
First of all, I love the pickup. I mean, Gronk late. Anybody that has a relationship with Tom Brady late is a good draft pick. Okay, and Gronk is he's invited to the home anytime he would like. Gronkowski's all been about health. So people talk about, is he washed up? Does he have any more? Listen, he's got better hands, or he's got fantastic hands, and he. Always going to outpoint a ball and outrun linebackers. It's all about his health. But he took the year off, played a little bit last year, but he didn't really take any hits, right? He just kind of I'm only here to block. No, blocking gets you.
Yeah, most definitely. And to me, the reason why I took him was a perfect play in the fourth quarter. You remember? They got blitzed late in the fourth quarter.
Oh yeah, they had a defensive end guard them.
Comes off that, and to me, see, that's why I picked him up though, is because when you have that much time with a quarterback, like those two saw that situation together. They were in perfect fucking harmony right there, where they looked. He knew exactly what he was doing. He made the cut back this way, caught that ball perfect, and that to me is why I picked him up, and he was just great, but. Another one who I also had picked up for the same reason was Antonio Brown. Now, Brown gave me 22.
I think Brown going to lead the lead in receiving.
20. Sorry, I'm looking right here. He gave me 23.7. And you're right. And did you see it? I mean, to me, he didn't lose himself. When did how did he just get bad? But yet round after round, I was seeing him still there. I'm like, you know what? I'm taking this guy because that's Antonio Brown. And in the end, if he can still play like he always has with Tom Brady as his quarterback, how is he not going to get yards?
Yep.
Exactly. And touchdowns. I mean, I see a lot of touchdowns coming for him.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he proved that last night. Now, his whole thing has always been, can he stay around? Can he continue to perform without doing something, stupid? We're talking about Antonio Brown.
Once I heard stupid or silly, I knew.
Yeah, well, true, but I mean, I was telling him I got him for the same reason though. I picked him up for the same reason because, like I told, how do you go bad? Like he didn't just go bad. Like I know if he plays like he can play with Tom Brady as a quarterback, you've got something. And last night they showed it.
Here's the thing about Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is the type of person that tests you to prove or to see if you'll stick up for him. I don't know why he does it. It has to be some type of childhood thing or whatever. I'm not sure what it is. By the way, Antonio Brown, people for the clown that he is or portrays or acts sometimes, he's very religious. He did work when he went to Western Michigan with the churches and stuff. I mean, and that's the other thing too. Like Tom Brady went to Michigan, Antonio Brown went to Western Michigan. They know Michigan. They get to talk about them days up in the cold and the Michigan winters. There's a connection. They really do. Tom Brady finds a connection with people, and Ben Roethlisberger he didn't care about you. He really didn't. He didn't go to bat for anybody. He didn't go to bat for Bell when he needed a contract.
Hey, he seems to say that he was the reason why TJ just got his money.
No. He does now.
Yeah,
because he learned from losing all of his friends.
He said that was that money that he gave up on his restructure.
Well, no, maybe and I'm with you. Maybe that's true now. Maybe he learned from all the right. It's really tough to play football without your friends, right? He's been sacked. He's been hurt. He needed Bell and he needed Brown. And when Brown would show up late to practice every once in a while, he wouldn't stick up for him. He wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't try to slip him in the back door. Nothing. Right? When Le'Veon Bell wanted a contract, when Le'Veon Bell wanted to get paid like a wide receiver, right? This is absolute fact, by the way. When Le'Veon Bell wanted to get paid like a wide receiver, do you know he was the 9th best wide receiver in the league, yards and receptions wise? He caught 71 passes. He wanted to be paid like a receiver. He was 45% that season of your total offense.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell deserved to be paid, and you did nothing. You didn't stick your neck out or the 7 shins underneath, Ben. You did none of it. Right? And so he respects Brady because Brady goes, you know what, man? Like, I understand that you had a bad rap, but you want to come in here and play football and you want to try your best. I'll go to bat for you in here.
It's what we now know as the Brady way, not the Belichick way, right? I mean, it's Brady, and he commands a certain thing. He just like the sheriff did when he was in Indianapolis or Denver, right? I mean, those kind of guys, they command that respect. Do it the way they want you to do it because they're telling you the right way.
But I do think the Brady way is a little bit more forgiving, right? The Belichick way is so stern, it's tough, it's militant. He's from a military family. And if you make a mistake, you're on the bench for a little while. I think Brady sits there and goes, hey, look, man, I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. As long as you're in here trying your darndest, I think you're going to be just fine.
Right. Who was the other one? Oh, Cooper. Oh, my goodness. Did he not just explode or what yesterday?
Well, I mean, Amari Cooper did have a great day. But, Amari Cooper's fantastic against backups all the time. And that's basically the secondary they played against. Once they lost, they would have lost Murphy's bunting, and they lost 2 other guys during the game. He smoked backups. Yeah, that's what he does.
I mean, what did he have, though? Like 19 catches?
No, he only had I think he had 11 receptions for 90-some yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's what Amari Cooper does. But here's the thing about Amari Cooper. This is why I caution fantasy owners all the time. Okay, Amari Cooper will give you big games. And then you're going to turn around 3 weeks later and go, is Amari Cooper still playing football? No, seriously. He'll have a 3 for 34.
Right?
He'll have a 3 for 34. He'll have a 2 for 19. I've seen him with a 1 for 7. 1 reception for 7 yards. And for me, he always gets drafted in the 2nd and 3rd round. And I'm like, hey, if you're going to take a shot on a guy that is very inconsistent, and I've done it most of my leagues, I took Odell Beckham in the 6th round. Because you know what Odell Beckham... Yeah. Well, here's what Odell Beckham is. He's a guy who was having a good year last year until that ACL. Him and Baker were really starting to get on. And the other thing about Odell is I like betting on an athlete that knows everybody's betting against them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
one that has that kind of talent.
Like I watched an interview, a couple interviews from cornerbacks, and they're like, well, what do you think about Odell off the ACL? They go, that's not going to matter. That's not going to matter. Now he's got something to prove because everybody thinks he's washed.
Right.
Like, and there are a lot of cornerbacks. Jalen Ramsey thinks Odell Beckham's the best wide receiver in the league because he can't guard him.
Mm-hmm.
So I took Odell late or in the 6th round in a lot of my leagues because I fully expect him to come back off that ACL. And I think I think
that's a great pickup. I think.
I think Baker throws 40+ touchdowns this year.
I hope so because that's one of my quarterbacks too. So I hope he does. Speaking of which, though, Lamar, what game this week? Are you looking forward to that Raiders game the most? I should say. Are you ready to see the Raiders kick off?
Yeah, I'm ready to see that game. Also, the Chiefs and Browns game too.
Okay, that's
It's gonna be a good one to watch.
Lamar, how much do the Raiders win by?
I'll say 4.
I'll say 14. That Baltimore team is absolutely banged up from top to bottom. They lost their top corner. No, listen, they lost their top cornerback. Mm-hmm. They don't have a running back in the room. Lamar Jackson, his top wide receiver, Sammy Watkins, he just missed the past 2 weeks for whatever reasons. I mean, what's your team look like? It looks like Lamar Jackson running for his life. That like John Gruden could game plan for that at the local Applebee's while having a few drinks. I mean, it's not going to be difficult. This Raiders team has Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr coming back his 3rd year in that offense. The Raiders are going to smash the Ravens in the black hole.
Wow.
It's not even close. Lamar, you should go to bed early. Just wake up and read the paper.
You think so too, Lamar? Huh? Are they going to kill him, Lamar?
I just Bears got a lot of new players, so I'm just kind of like, let's see how they quick they can gel.
What are you worried about the most with the Raiders?
Right now, I'm worried about a lot of moving parts on the offensive line. Got a new line. So with all those blitz packages that the Ravens do.
Yeah, but they can't do it because their leading cornerback is gone. Marcus Peters is out, so you can't blitz. So what are you going to do? Like, that's the real problem here. By the way, Brian Edwards was described, and I know John Gruden gets a little sauced and gets talking with the reporters. Yeah. I don't know if that's actually true. Yeah. But he does. He compared. Allegedly, he did compare Brian Edwards to things. He did compare him to Terrell Owens. So
he had a hell of a training camp. He's making a lot of catches, but.
Well, let's talk
for real on Monday.
let's talk about the physical freak that Brian Edwards actually is, though, because obviously he didn't have the offseason. Nobody had the offseason. It's not really an excuse, but he was a walk-on. He was redshirted at South Carolina when he was 19. Massive hands, super strong. Cornerbacks couldn't stay on him. It took him a couple seasons, and obviously South Carolina never ended up with a quarterback, but got drafted to the NFL. He's one of those guys that runs good, crisp routes. He kind of reminds me of a Crabtree. He'll throw you off of him.
People forget he earned a starting spot last year for the Raiders, but got hurt. He got hurt in the first game and missed like 8 weeks.
I got him on every fantasy team, Lamar. I forget.
I got like 6 teams. I got him on about 2 or 3 of them.
Y'all must have forgot it was written by Roy Jones Jr., but I don't forget.
So Jack, what game are you looking forward to the most?
I think it's going to be the most entertaining game besides the one we just watched, and that's Cleveland and Kansas City.
KC.
The line sits at 6.5. The Browns are getting 6.5 points before the game starts. Here's the one thing you guys need to know about Baker Mayfield. Okay, Baker Mayfield does hold grudges. He understands what people say about him forever and always. And he travels well, right? Baker Mayfield travels really well. He's the quarterback from Oklahoma who traveled to Ohio State, destroyed that football team, and planted the Oklahoma flag in the middle of their stadium. Okay.
Yes.
He's the quarterback who everybody said, oh, the Browns should have beat Pittsburgh by much more. And because they only had Mason Rudolph, they got to travel to Pittsburgh in the playoffs. The Browns are going to get crushed. Wrong again. They went up 28-0 halfway through the second quarter. And I thought he was going to grab a Cleveland flag right then and there. Now he travels to now he travels to Kansas City. And they go, oh, if Patrick Mahomes didn't get injured, that Cleveland team wouldn't have been that close to Kansas City.
Right.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? We've got the best defense arguably in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a great 1-2 punch combo at running back. And oh, by the way, I get Odell Beckham back. And my numbers last year were the best in my career. He's starting to look comfortable.
Yeah.
And dare I say it, Baker's starting to look dangerous.
And doesn't he almost have to as well? Because if he doesn't do it this year, don't the talk start to come?
Well, I mean, he had a really good last season. His last season was good. It was fine. I mean, people for the games the big games, every game that they thought he was going to lose, he won. Like, that's another one. Cleveland had to go to Tennessee. Oh, the Titans, Vrabel, Tannehill, Henry, Mayfield had 4 touchdowns at halftime and 260 yards. Yeah. I mean, the dude they asked him at the press, they go, so how'd you feel at halftime? He goes, on fire. Like, he throws a good spiral ball. There was a preseason game. He threw a touchdown in. He threw a fadeaway spiral. And I went, that's why people drafted him. I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy. I think he goes over 40 touchdowns this season. And I'm really looking forward to that game.
I hope so.
Kansas City starts off 0-1.
Interesting. Okay, real quick though, too, Lamar, give me a outside team from each conference, a team that's a serious outside team that could compete and maybe get to the Super Bowl this year.
Each conference,
AFC and an NFC team.
AFC, I will say.
But, like, I'm not going to give you the Broncos because let's be for real. Even though I believe it, I want to, let's be for real. Which AFC team that's sitting there right now can upseed Kansas City?
I'm going to say the Patriots. NFC.
That's interesting, really.
NFC,
if Mac Jones catches fire, you never know what could happen in New England.
The Patriots defense, I think, gonna be.
That's what I was about to say. They have a decent defense.
Everybody
in a game.
Everybody back from last year from not playing because of COVID. But NFC, oh man,
come on. Who do we think's going in the NFC anyway? Do you got Green Bay or Tampa Bay?
I got Tampa.
Tampa.
Green Bay, they'd be in it and be in the game, but they're going to do some stuff. They're going to do something stupid like they always do in the playoffs. Like
that hurt themselves, right?
Give up a 40-yard touchdown bomb before halftime and stuff like that. And stuff.
I'll give you 2 teams.
Go ahead.
I'll give you 2 teams. And I think this will be the Super Bowl. You can't take teams that are completely obvious. Everybody wants, to see Mahomes, Brady. And much like in Jordan's era where no one ate, Mahomes doesn't get championships against Brady either. Okay. Brady, this is how crazy Tom Brady is. You know Tom Brady sends his wife packing? He threw his wife and family out of the house for that week. That's absolute fact. He bought them a hotel. He turned that house into a hotel/war room, calling players at 5:30 in the morning, going over plays with them.
Yeah,
you ain't got no chance against that guy.
That's why he's got 7 rings on him, right?
It is difficult though because they've already lost defenders, and I'm not saying they're going to be lost for the whole season, but like he said, things didn't look all that great last night. Okay, they beat the Cowboys, and the Cowboys weren't very good last year.
So who can come out of the NFC then?
So. We have to go with a team that has defense on all levels because, defense wins championships, but you need to score. So I'll take the Rams there. I'll take the Rams coming out of the NFC. Nice. They get Stafford. I know they've had a couple running back issues, but they seem to have shored that up for now. And out of the AFC, I'll take the most complete team. And people still have questions about the quarterback, but I do not. And I'll take the Cleveland Browns.
That's a pretty good shot. For me, it's on the NFC side. I'm saying Tampa and Green Bay are my, everybody, I think they're just going to go that way. But the sneaky one that might be there, I love the Rams. That's a great
Rams
pick because
they got defense.
they have everything that it takes. So it depends on how Stafford comes out. I believe he's going to have a fucking fabulous season. I think,
and they're 1-0 already. The Rams are 1-0 already.
But we forget there's a little team in Washington that is pretty doggone good right now, and they seem to be getting it together. And so if I'm going to pick a sneak one, then maybe Washington somehow finds their way to get better.
I like Washington, but I just for Fitzpatrick, he played good for 4 weeks. Then the next 4 weeks, he looked like he don't belong in the NFL.
Yeah,
if he can play consistent through the whole season, then yeah, I like Washington chances.
I think
and that's what's tough about Washington. We all love their defense, but you need to be able to put points on the board.
Yeah.
You have a smaller quarterback. You have 2 quick but yet small wide receivers.
Right.
For me, I just don't see them having. I don't see them having. I know everybody loves Terry McLaurin, but I don't think he's a number one. I actually don't. I don't think he's a number one. I think he's a nice slot wide receiver, and it's all Washington has. And to be quite honest, I think they just drafted a really good number one out of North Carolina, and it might not be his year, but in fantasy circles, Dynamic Brown is going to be hot.
I just think that they're there. I don't think that's why I said I would not pick them to win the NFC, and I haven't. But I'm just saying that would be my dark horse of reality, kind of a dark horse. And on the AFC side, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it again and again and again. It's the Titans for me. They're going to go. But if I'm going to pick, because to me, the AFC is the same. I mean, to me, the AFC is a 3-horse. You got Kansas City, Buffalo, and Tennessee. And to me, that's going to be that kind of a battle for that top.
Not Cleveland?
I mean, I'm just maybe I've heard everything you said, and I understand that, and I get that, and all that. I just don't see them yet as reaching that point of being
hold on. Let me see if I can persuade you a little bit. Okay. Best offensive line in football. 5th easiest running schedule.
Okay.
I mean, we schedules matter, right? We talked about earlier about how schedules matter a little bit. Now I've got 2 number 1 running backs. I mean, I could have Trent Dilfer back there and get to the playoffs if I have the 5th easiest running schedule and the best offensive line.
I just see Tennessee's made that progression each year. They've gotten to that, and to me, I'm a believer in that in sports. Just like when I picked Milwaukee for that same reason to win in the NBA, because they took that step, they took that next step, and I felt like this was that time. That's the same way I see Tennessee. I see them have built the last couple of years, and the additions they made in this offseason. I think to me, they have to be a consideration to be one of the front runners. But I'm not putting down Cleveland at all. I got Mayfield as my quarterback for my one of the leagues, so I believe in him. But I want to see it. I guess give me week 2.
Something a little bit more interesting, and everybody's going to be on the Browns bandwagon after they beat Kansas City. Week 2 could be a little slippery for them because.
Let's watch this week. There you go. Let me see how they perform against KC.
No, don't worry about. I'll show you the newspaper. Here's what's interesting. I did a couple. Obviously, I run a lot of fantasy leagues, and I was in this 16-team fantasy league. It was not the easiest, but there was a coaching. Yeah, they were tough. But how about this, Lamar? There was a coaching part of this one. So you have to draft. You also have to draft a coach, and that goes towards your wins. Yeah.
I had a lead about 2 years ago. I was in a league that had like damn near a full team.
Yeah.
Like 4 linemen, 3 linebackers, cornerback, safeties, punters, and kickers. I was like, damn.
So this is interesting. So here's what's interesting is that I took Tennessee. I took Vrabel as my coach.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's interesting though, is that his projection on the year was 113. I don't know how they come up with the coach's projection, but it was 113. Okay. And I took him because I thought Tennessee was going to be good. And I do think they're going to be good. Stefanski's was 144.
Hmm.
That right? See, that was very interesting to me because we know that these apps project very well. I mean, these are algorithms, they're computers.
Yeah.
Aliens
got
put
all
them
that.
together. You know, we're just a bunch of apes here trying to figure out their stuff.
Right.
But 144 is a big number.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a shade under McVay, and it was right in the Andy Reid category. And I was like, man, somebody knows how good Stefanski really is. It's like somebody knows.
Right.
So I don't know, something to think about.
Yeah, that's interesting. That really is.
I took Vrabel. I didn't go with Stefanski. But now that I look back on it and I revisit the whole thing, and I went, I probably should have went with the Browns. Like, I think they're going to have that type of season.
Man, again, I'm glad they're playing KC because this will be a great judge of what they're going to be. And they can even lose. I mean, let's face it, if they play their, off and we see this tight game and KC barely pulls it off and all that, that'll go a long way to showing who they are. They don't have to win this game to win. You know what I'm saying? So that's a great game to look forward to for sure.
It could be a lot like last year. You could see Cleveland lose this game, but no, they belong. Much like Tampa Bay lost to New Orleans twice, got to the playoffs and smoked them.
Yeah, true that. Well, guys, man, this has been great. Let's get in. I don't know if you guys are want to still do this, but I like this little last part myself. This little our last word. Say goodbye. Have your say on anything you want to have your say on. Anything that's biting your bones or got you in a tumble, or something you just want to say hey to. But let's go ahead and get into that before we head out. So Lamar, give us the last word, man.
Go Raiders.
straight out of Compton. No. All right. Nice and short and sweet. Go ahead, Jack. Give us the last word.
All right, so I've been kind of banging the drum the whole time here, but I'll give it to you. Baker Mayfield, 40+ touchdowns. We'll say Odell Beckham returns to form this year. I believe I'll top 15 wide receiver as far as fantasy football is concerned. Cleveland Browns go to the Super Bowl. Okay, they beat Kansas City this week too.
I love it. For me, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and go to the NBA. I wish Liam was here because this one would tear him up what I'm about to say, but I've kind of changed my mind. My last word is going to be on Ben Simmons. And that whole situation is crazy as could be, but that's Philadelphia for you. So we've seen it before. We know what's going on there. They're going to do what they're going to do. But the word has come out that the Denver Nuggets may be interested in Ben Simmons. And so after giving it a lot of thought, and as much as I have been against the Ben Simmons thing, I'm kind of jumping on the bandwagon a little bit for this one after giving it a lot of thought with the pieces that they have and seeing some of the things of him and MPJ. And so Nuggets, we need something to get us through till January. Ben will look fine doing that role of distributing. We got enough people who can score the ball there. So, maybe Ben finds his way to Philadelphia or to Denver from Philadelphia. So I'm changing my mind on Ben Simmons. That's my last word let's go Ben. Come on, Nuggets. So, yeah.
Sixers really fumbled that situation.
Bad.
Now they're going to have to trade him for basically nothing.
Man, Morris had this rep for so long of being so good, but come on, he really messed this one.
We kept telling Liam that he asking for too much. He's gonna screw himself over. Now
he did.
Now he did.
What did he say today? Oh God.
Why don't they just take? Listen, here's what I would trade Ben Simmons for. It's Denver, right? It's going to be cold right there soon. Right, Denver tends to get a little chilly in the wintertime. Why don't you just trade him for a fantastic venti Starbucks coffee? That seems fair value. It'll warm your heart on a cold Denver night, right? And guess what? Philly has to deal with 37% from the line forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying I think Denver has enough parts and haven't been in there to help out until Murray can get himself back going. Might
Don't they
not
have
be
a guy
such a
that
bad
passes the
idea.
ball well too?
I mean, I was a big Monte Morris fan for a couple of years, but he
They
to
took that
me
next step.
he kind of hit a wall. Like he didn't get better. I think he is who he is, and that's great. And he's a good what in football they call a good game manager, right? I mean, he can manage the game well, and he's not going to kill you because he doesn't have a turnover ratio. His turnover ratio is great, so he's not going to kill you that way. But he's not going to be that guy who can lead you to a championship either. He's just he's a great backup point guard.
Yeah, but you got Jokic who can pass the ball. You just need a
yeah.
scorer when the big guy gets a little tired. That's all you really need. No, you just need a scorer, which, by the way, nope.
And
no.
hey, but I predicted Ben goes there. He's going to turn back into LSU Ben.
That wasn't good either.
I was just passing them.
That wasn't good either.
All right, I lost this one. But I just got into that today a lot. I started getting my mind around it. I started almost becoming a Ben Simmons fan. So thank you guys for shaking that back out. But hey, I appreciate this, you guys. This is great. I hope we can do this again before next week or even after next Thursday's game. Let's do it again and recap and keep this NFL season going because I'm into it. Also, man, we should talk college sometime. This college season is really getting good, and there are some real good games coming up. So I would love to talk some college ball if anybody's down for that sometime.
For sure.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it once again, and we appreciate everybody for joining us. Please check out theeverydayfan.com. Check out the Shot of Jack. Check out Lamar Field's stuff. He got it everywhere and anywhere. He's kind of all over. So check us all out and keep coming back. And we thank you guys for coming. Hey, guys,